Imagine waking up, not in your bed, not in your room, but inside the walls of your own house, trapped in the bones of the place you thought kept you safe. No doors, no windows, no escape. And you're not alone in there. Something was waiting. She woke, choking. Air thick with dust scraped her throat raw. She coughed violently, gagging, her lungs clawing for breath. Her head snapped upward and cracked against solid wood. Splinters pierced her skin. Pain tore through her skull. Hands trembling, she reached out. The walls were close. Too close. Pressed tight against her body like a coffin. She wasn't in her bed. She wasn't in her room. She was inside the walls. The air was suffocating. Her fingers skimmed rough beams, plaster, sticky trails that smeared across her palms. The darkness pressed in like flesh. The wood creaked, shifting with each panic movement. She swore the walls were breathing. Then her hand touched something small. Leather. A shoe. Tiny, child-sized. Her breath hitched. Next to it, fabric stiff with age, and deeper, still smooth, cold, curved. Her hand traced teeth, a jawbone, human. She screamed, the sound strangled by choking walls. Dust filled her lungs. Silence swallowed her voice whole. The house was full of bodies, and now it had claimed her too. She kicked, pounded, clawed, until her fingernails tore free with sickening snaps. Blood sprayed the wood, dripping down her wrists, soaking into the beams like the house was drinking her. Every strike rattled her bones, but still she fought until finally, with a splitting shriek, a board cracked open. A sliver of light bled through, thin, piercing, a blade of gold cutting into the suffocating dark. She shoved her face against it, gasping, tears streaking her bloodied cheeks. Warmth caressed her skin, and she sobbed with relief. On the other side, her bedroom, sheets smooth and waiting, the lamp glowing gently, as if nothing had happened. She screamed for help, throat raw, voice shredded. She pounded harder, splinters burying deep into her palms.
Help me!
But the room didn't move. The lamp never flickered. The air never stirred.
Please!
She pressed closer, and her stomach dropped. The room was flat, two-dimensional, painted light, not a window. A memory burned into the wood like a cruel joke. The glow dissolved. The warmth died. The surface peeled away into writhing black, shadows crawling across her face like fingers. The walls shivered, closing in. Bones popped in her chest as the house squeezed, savoring her panic. The air grew rancid, thick with rot. It wanted her to know. There was no escape, only silence. Only death. A sound rippled through the black, wet, dragging, flesh against wood. Each scrape echoed like claws carving her coffin tighter, her stomach twisted, bile rising. She wasn't alone in there. From the far corner, something unfolded. Too long, too broken. Limbs bent the wrong way, bones snapping as if resetting themselves one by one. The sound made her skin crawl. Its head turned last. A slow, sickening tilt, until the vertebrae cracked loud enough to make her flinch. No eyes, no nose, only a mouth, stretched unnaturally wide. Jagged teeth tore through its own skin, as if it had bitten itself open just to smile. It crawled toward her, body scraping, dragging across the beams. On all fours, its movements were jerky but purposeful. Fingers long as knives gouged deep grooves into the wood. Saliva dripped from its grin, hissing where it struck the floor. The smell, burnt flesh and iron, filled her lungs. She bit her fist to muffle a scream, tears streaking down her dirt-caked face. The house groaned with each of her breaths, as though siding with the thing, closing in, herding her toward it. It stopped inches away. Its jaw unhinged, wider, until the bones popped. A slow, guttural inhale sucked the air from her chest. And then, still smiling, it whispered in silence. The walls shivered. She realized the truth. The creature wasn't in the house. The house was the creature, and it had been waiting. That night, the noise shifted above her head, crawling, thudding, something heavy dragging itself across the beams. The attic groaned as though it carried more than just old wood. Dust rained down in choking clouds, settling in her hair, coating her tongue with grit. Her hands shook as she reached for the cord. The ladder dropped with a metallic screech that sliced the silence in half. She froze, heart pounding before forcing herself to climb. Each rung groaned beneath her weight, like it didn't want her to go up. The attic yawned open, swallowing her in shadows. Boxes leaned like crooked tombstones. Shards of broken furniture littered the floor. The air reeked of mildew and rot. She whispered into the dark, her voice barely more than breath.
Who's there?
The flashlight trembled in her grip. The beam flickered once, twice. Then something dangled from the edge of a crate. Pale, waxy, fingers bent backward as if broken, twitching without rhythm. Her breath hitched. The hand snapped back with inhuman speed, vanishing into the dark. Her light flickered again, then held. Dozens of eyes stared back at her, glowing, fixed, silent. A figure leaned forward from the ceiling beams. Its face hung upside down, skin stretched too thin over bone, jaw unhinged until it nearly split its head in two. She screamed, stumbling back toward the ladder. The attic door slammed shut on its own, rattling the walls. She tumbled down, her body cracking against the floorboards below. Pain shot through her limbs, stealing her breath. Above her, the silence shifted. Then came laughter, dry, hollow. Dozens of voices at once, spilling through the ceiling, mocking her. And she realized the attic wasn't just holding something. The attic was something. It had been waiting. The next day, a smell pulled her downward. Damp earth, rot. The basement yawned beneath her feet like a throat. In the corner stood a cradle. Old wood, stained black. She crept closer. Inside, rags twitched, breathing. She leaned in. The rags split. A face stared up, infant-like, but its mouth split too wide, teeth jagged and sharp. Its eyes were pits. Endless, it screamed, a shrill, broken wail that shook the walls. From the shadows, something vast shifted. Heavy, crawling, she bolted up the stairs, but the crying followed. Through the pipes, through the vents, through the walls. The house itself was screaming with it. Every room turned against her. The air grew thick, pressing down on her lungs until every breath rattled like broken glass. The mirrors no longer showed her reflection. They showed her body decaying in real time, flesh sliding off her bones, teeth falling from her jaw. She slapped the glass, but the corpse in the mirror smiled back. The floors pulsed beneath her feet like veins, warm and slick, beating with the rhythm of a living heart. She staggered, slipping on a smear of something dark that bubbled up between the cracks. The walls shuddered, groaning, and the doors melted seamlessly into them, sealing her in. Then the voices began. First one whisper, then 10, then hundreds, children sobbing, women shrieking, men chanting in guttural tones. Their words overlapped, an endless wall of sound pleading, mocking her, laughing. Some begged her to run, some begged her to die. She clawed at the walls, tearing at the plaster until her fingernails snapped and bones cracked. Each wound she made sealed instantly, bleeding dust instead of blood. The house trembled with every strike, almost amused. And then she understood. The house wasn't her prison. It was alive. It breathed in ragged, wheezing gusts. It pulsed with hunger. It healed itself because it fed on her despair. The whispers crescendo into a roar. Shadows twisted across the walls, forming shapes with too many arms, too many mouths. They leaned close, pressing their phantom lips against her ears. And all the while, in the farthest corner where the light refused to reach, the creature waited. Still, watching, its patience worse than any attack. She realized then she wasn't inside the house. She was inside its stomach, and it would never let her out.
It's over! It has to be over!
Some houses never let you leave.